do we agree on what sustainable development is? Because that may be one important precondition to answer this question. But let's assume that we all more or less feel that we know what it is. Then my inclination is to say India, of course, should somehow manage population growth. I don't know if you can manage population growth, but somehow there may be a difference of maybe several 100 million people by 2050 if you have explicit policies or if you don't have explicit policies. So I think that is an issue. The other one, I think, is that India, of course, faces, with all other emerging economies, a situation in which you are going to take off in a direction which the West has exercised over the last couple of 100 years. And in doing this, you actually are now faced with a situation in which resources become seriously scarce, more than the West ever had to experience. China faces the same situation. And I think it's a really great challenge for all of us, actually, to somehow deal with these finite resources from the source side, where you see already the problems with oil depletion, and from the sink side, where we see, for instance, climate change problem, but also many other problems related to us, people, over-exploiting the natural environment. Almost everyone now agrees that we will see something like 1.5 to 6 degrees Celsius warming by the year 2100, not taking into account possible catastrophic changes. So my point is, who am I to doubt this? We somehow have to adapt already to a certain warming. One of my statements would be, if we go for this path which I just mentioned, with efficiency and renewables, also the adaptation might actually be a more feasible part of the story. Because if we go the other road, adaptation also becomes something which is, I think, more strenuous. But obviously climate change is with us and will play a role all over the world in all societies. I think for India, dealing with an already somewhat stressful water situation becomes more important, because you will probably in some areas have more droughts, maybe more floods, and in any case more extreme rainfall patterns. So it makes sense to design the water systems which you design at the moment as part of rural development already in such a way that you can deal with these situations. So it's also, I guess, the demand to improve environmental management as it is right now. But just take into account already now that you have to face those more extreme situations. Personally, I'm lecturing on sustainability science over the last 7 years, and what I've tried to do is give students a more integrated perspective on what's going on, because obviously the fragmented way in which science has developed over the past 2 centuries is not going to help us very much. It may help us in coming up with new gadgets, which are interesting, useful, and sometimes even necessary. But if that's the sole focus of our endeavor, then it's really not going to help us. So I would say a more holistic, integrated systems approach is what we need. Given the fact that so few universities do this, I think the initiative of IIHS is an excellent one, because you, as far as I understand, put this at the core of your curriculum. You try to merge also theory and practice, or at least make theory and practice or experience somehow together part of the curriculum. And I think that's a very great idea too. It's labor intensive though. I mean, it's dependent on people who are willing to supervise students, which already in our case in the Netherlands sometimes is a problem. And it is demanding in terms of the qualities of the staff. So those are probably the most serious problems. But as an idea, I think it's very good.